Let's talk a little more about this crazy Sam theory I have. Let's get into it.
What's your favorite scary movie? Hey, man.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Well, I'm Pennywise the dancing now.
We're gonna get you. Oh, blood on the beast!
God, don't do that.
But sometimes death is better.
Hey everybody, what's up? KillJoy Jake here, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. I first just wanted to say to everyone, thank you so much for the views on yesterday's video. In a 24-hour span, I rarely get that, and it's just a really big deal. I'm a small channel here compared to some of the bigger guys, so I just appreciate all the views on that. It means a lot. So today we're doing a bit of a follow-up video towards that. I wanted to expand on this theory a little more because it was kind of just the back half of the last video. It was something I wanted to suggest based off of something we got from Melissa Barrera's Instagram, but I want to expand that theory a little more because there's more to it than what I just put in that last video. The last video is also like partly a news update too. It was like two different things. I wanted to expand on this because this is I feel like this is a cool theory. I feel like there's something to this, and I want to talk about the whole Sam maybe killing an innocent person by accident theory and how that could really work for Scream 6 leading into a Scream 7. Before we get into this though, if you guys could like this video and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate that. Please help this channel grow. It would be pretty sick. Obviously, in the last film, Sam and Tara's relationship was pretty muddy. Sam had not been there. She had been really distant because she had just found out that basically like her father was not her father. Her real father was Billy Loomis. Her mother kept that a secret from her for the longest time. So as we know, she left. She went to Modesto, put every kind of drug she could in her body, like she said, met Richie, came back, found out he was the killer, yada yada. You saw the last movie. So what I'm suggesting here is that maybe Sam is just completely doing the opposite of what her previous self did. She now has a newfound relationship with her sister Tara, and after all those very emotional scenes we got in the hospital, it seems like they're starting to reconnect. So I'm assuming that Sam is going to be very overprotective in Scream 6. So let's say in Scream 6, it starts off, you know, the usual, whatever. We get someone murdered in the opening scene. Maybe it's Chad, maybe it's a new character. I don't know, probably one of the two, which a lot of people probably don't want to hear. But let's say that happens, okay? And now we have Sam and Tara. They're living in New York City. Tara's going to college somewhere, and Sam is living close by in an apartment with maybe some kind of roommate. Just remember that. Maybe her name is Nicole, let's say. Nicole's her roommate. Let's just throw that out there. Sam is now being very overprotective of Tara. Just whatever she does, Sam is basically there, and it's kind of creepy. Maybe there's this like opening scene, like kind of like the fountain scene, think from Scream, but it's Tara with a bunch of her friends, and Sam is just there. And Tara's like, Sam, what are you doing? You're being creepy. She's like, oh, well, I made you a lunch here. I cut the crust off of the sandwich for you. She locks up the bag and all that and like throws it at her, kind of embarrasses her in front of all of her friends. I know it's not high school and maybe that won't work as well, but I think it would be kind of cool for this scene. Tara's like, oh my God, you know, I'm a freshman in college. I'm trying to be cool. I'm trying to make friends. Like, what are you doing? Get the hell out of here. Stop being my mom, you know? And Sam's just like struggling, like, I'm trying to do the opposite of what I was in the past, you know? And Tara's like, I appreciate that. Thank you. But like, this is too much. Okay, you can lay off a little, Sam. So of course that happens. Sam's like, okay, you know, maybe I'll lay off a little bit. But then they find out that there's a ghost face killer coming after them and their friends. That's why I think it would make a lot of sense to kill maybe like Chad or Mindy, who's probably also at this school somewhere or somewhere around that. Maybe one of their friends too, if it's a new character. They find out that there's ghost faces running around again. Oh my God, Sam now, if she was cranked up to like about a 10 on the overprotective scale, she's at about 11,000 now. She is all over. Wherever Tara is, Sam is there. She is going nuts. Sam is to the point where she is over momming her own sister, and Christina Carpenter is probably not in the picture. We haven't really had anybody yet who could play the role of Christina Carpenter casted, so I really don't think she's going to be a major character in Scream 6. I feel like that's for the better as well, because then we can focus on this relationship that I feel like is going to be much more interesting. Against Sam's wishes, Tara sneaks out one night with some of her friends. Let's say there's a friend that maybe Sam butts heads with, doesn't really like, doesn't care for. Maybe his or her name is Alex, gender neutral, there we go. Sam and this Alex character just butt heads. They don't like each other, but it's someone that Tara is romantically interested in. So like, they're kind of like, okay, they're together. Sam doesn't trust this person for a few reasons. First of all, this Alex character doesn't like Sam. Tara's been talking shit about Sam and saying, oh, she's overprotective of me. So this Alex character is wrongfully kind of a jerk to Sam. Like, it's very passive aggressive. It's not like he or she is punching Sam in the face or anything like that. It's just passive aggressive stuff like, oh, that's a weird top to be wearing, Sam. You know, just something along those lines. Something a little just passive aggressive stuff like that. Sam doesn't really trust Alex for a numerous bit of reasons. I mean, like her own boyfriend, who she really trusted, ended up being the Ghostface killer in the last movie. So obviously she's kind of in a weird place relationship-wise, which is why I don't think that Sam would have a relationship in this next film. I feel like that just wouldn't work as well, and it's also kind of just repeating a plot beat from Scream 2, which, trust me, we do not need to do for this film. We're already repeating enough stuff for Scream 6, so let's not have Sam have another boyfriend character. Tara goes to a party with this Alex character where the ghost face strikes next. Someone else gets murdered there, and maybe Tara's character gets chased down a hallway or something from Ghostface, and then someone else maybe dies or something. Alex and Tara, though, are both alive at the end of this, and then Sam is furious with Tara. Sam is like, what were you doing? Like, you could have died. You could have gotten killed, and I had no idea. Why would you sneak out? They have a big fight. They go back and forth. They are not happy with each other. Tara accuses Sam of not liking Alex. There's this whole thing. She's just they're super angry at each other. They split ways. They part ways. Sam still tries to like over mom her, but it's just not working out. Now, obviously, this is a subplot in this movie. More is going on than what I said, because if this was just what the movie was, there's just not enough to fill up a 90-minute to 2-hour space here, obviously. So what I'm thinking is like a lot more stuff is going on. There's a lot more ghost faces attacking between this, some other plot lines going on, yada yada. But we get to a point in this story where maybe Sam is Sam gets some knowledge from this Nicole character that maybe Alex is the killer. There's some stuff that doesn't add up. There's some things about that party that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Where was Alex during this part? And maybe that's actually something that the audience saw. You could get the audience on the side of Sam by making this Alex character a big red herring. So now you're kind of sus of this Alex character. What is going on there? Sam ends up having to go and find Tara after she's just not responding to any of her phone calls. Sam, Nicole, maybe like a few other people end up going to some kind of like party, of course, because that's where all Scream films end up. Some kind of big gathering of people, whatever they want to do for that. Listen, I'm the guy that's preaching the break the structure and all that, but like a third act party is just it's always a positive. You could do those for 100 more films and I'm not going to get sick of it. So if they want to do something like that, sure, let's go for it. They go to this party, everyone clears out, of course, because that's what has to happen in a Scream film. Now, while everyone is converging at whatever this thing is, it doesn't matter if it's a party, some kind of school function, whatever, we have Alex run out of a bathroom or something in a ghost face robe. It's really suspicious, and it's like, what is going on there? We have Sam going over to this Alex character, and basically she just kills him. She strangles him to death, him or her, whatever. It's just a really upsetting scene. It's like, oh my God. And Sam thinks, oh, I've taken down the Ghostface killer this time. Let's go. This is awesome. Tara runs in. She is like crying her eyes out. She's starting to think herself that, oh my God, Alex was the Ghostface. But then she says something that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, that the audience did see beforehand. Alex was with Tara when they were being chased by Ghostface in an earlier scene, which is when this Nicole character pulls out a gun and aims it at both Sam and Tara. My God, it was her the whole time. They totally just gaslit Sam into killing an innocent person. Now, basically, you could do anything at this point. You could have a big reveal that there's still 2 killers out there, and they just gaslit Sam into killing an innocent person because they thought it was messed up and funny, probably, because they're evil characters. And that you could have them get away, and then Sam is maybe arrested for being a Ghostface killer because her fingerprints are literally all over this character, because remember, she strangled this character to death. You could have a cliffhanger ending like that gets resolved in a 7th film, and I want to argue that this is the only chance for them to do something like this, because if 6 is going to be the middle film in a brand new trilogy, because let's say Scream 7 is probably going to be happening. It's not greenlit at the moment, but if it does happen, it's probably going to be done by radio silence at this point, considering the fact that 5 was so successful, and I'm speculating that 6 is also going to be successful, despite some of your guys' comments who are saying this movie is just going to absolutely tank without Neve Campbell. I promise you it's not. But there's also the question of, is this just too mean towards the character of Sam Carpenter? Something that I've been preaching a lot on this page is how, like, we have to start portraying characters with mental illnesses in a more positive light, especially in horror. Horror has a terrible history of portraying characters with mental illnesses in just a really bad light and incorrectly. So what if we were to do it in a much better way with the character of Sam Carpenter by making her the hero? But just like the majority of the best trilogies out there, you have to have the middle film kind of be a bit of a dip for your characters, because otherwise it's just not as exciting of an ending in the next film. The other thing is that maybe you're saying to yourself, well, it's still too much to have Sam go to prison and then have her get out. That might just be a bit clunky, a bit clumsy. I think it could work, but you could also just go the route of maybe Sam totally gets away with it, but Tara knows that she killed an innocent person. And there's that now the relationship is ruined again between Tara and Sam. Even if Sam still gets away with it, she has to live with that blood on her hands. She killed an innocent human being, and would still really suck for her. It could be something that she has to overcome in the next film by killing more Ghostface killers. I mean, I know killing usually isn't the solace for something like this, but I think if she was able to save Tara in Scream 7 from something that she just couldn't get out of otherwise, it would really make up for all the events in Scream 6. I also want to reiterate that you just can't have a good story without your main characters going through problems. Listen, I love a love fest all day, every day, but like, this is a horror movie at the end of the day. You gotta throw some obstacles in your character's way like this, or it's just not gonna be interesting. Yes, I do want to see a character struggling with mental illness shown in a more positive light, but you still gotta tell a compelling story. And I think this would be a really fun way to do that. What do you guys think about this crazy theory though? I literally just, wow, this is a long video. We are going on for 17 minutes now, according to my little timer down there. What do you guys think about this theory though? Do you think any of this could actually happen in Scream 6? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching my new Scream video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror content. Also, if you want to support this channel even further, you can support me on Patreon or become a channel member by clicking on that join button on my page. Thank you guys so much for watching again, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.